All right, very quick bonus episode. I was recommended the Amazon Prime miniseries Lore by Joe Romeo, and it's an anthology, and immediately I thought, oh, this is going to be like Black Mirror or Twilight Zone. But it's more historical stuff. And the first episode is about the disease consumption or tuberculosis and how it affected this one community in New England and then specifically this one family. And sort of goes through how so many of that family's members were consumed by consumption. And it went through sort of the superstitions of the day and about how people thought the undead were walking the earth. And it started off pretty interestingly about how back then our methods for knowing whether somebody was dead or not were very primitive. And so some people would be buried with strings attached to bells in case they weren't actually dead, which is where we get the saying "Saved by the Bell." Anyway, all the historical stuff is very interesting. I gotta say, I didn't love the reenactments. I thought those went on a little bit too long. But I will be watching more. However, I will say that it never really described how consumption was defeated, so to speak. I know it's not something that happens as much these days, so I had to look that part up. And it on Wikipedia pretty much just said vaccines, which maybe they were worried about scaring off a large part of their potential audience by doing a whole segment on vaccines. Anyway, the sort of big takeaway from it, the end of the episode, was a description about how this one family who succumbed to the superstition of the day and exhumed the bodies of the family members who had already passed to make sure that none of them wasn't preserved and possessed by a demon and walking the earth, which they weren't. But it became a big tabloid story. The news spread across the world, and that news story is one of the main inspirations for the book Dracula by Bram Stoker, written in 1897, I think. I thought it was much older of a book. Anyway, so that was fascinating. So check out Lore, L-O-R-E, on Amazon Prime, based on a podcast, I guess. Only 6 episodes. I'll be watching more, but back to the horror films for the next one.